Kokemachine for real fishing. Here I am, out on the opener. Got up early this morning, forgot all about how much prep work goes into doing a live video as far as just doing thumbnails, all that different stuff. Anyway, it doesn't look like anybody's watching at the moment anyway, so I can adjust some things. So there's going to be a lot of sunshine kind of vibes behind me because, well, it's the morning. Anyway, for anybody who's curious, I've disappeared for the last while. I've been trying to put out some videos, just like little shorts and stuff like that, to show people I am still alive. But so far, I've just been writing my next kid's book, which I should have finished soon. So of course, as soon as I got out here, I realized I forgot my leeches in my truck. So I had to go back. I didn't get that far out here, but far enough. Far enough to make it annoying. Anyway, I got leeches on right now. I'm in about 14 feet of water. There's quite a few boats out here. Most of them are over by the exit pipe of the turd plant. I am just out at the beach. Got a little bit of a north wind going on right here. I'm actually in a canoe because that's how I roll sometimes. So far, no bites, but I sort of just got started. There's gonna be a lot of like this sunshine. So I don't know how long I'll be out here for, but yeah, I was hoping to get out here before. Oh, just had a nibble. I was hoping to get out here before the sun came up. Doesn't always work out quite as planned, but I'm out here now, and I've been fishing for a little bit. I just had a little nibble. I'm gonna say it was probably like a perch, something like that. So let's see. I got worms and I've got leeches. I like using leeches in the summertime because they got lots of action to them, you know. But nice day out here. If I wasn't anchored, I would probably be blowing into the middle of the lake because there's definitely a north wind going on here. It's not heavy, but it's a wind indeed. Still got my leech. I'm actually using the minnow clapper. If I was drifting, I wouldn't be using that because these minnow clappers, the winter style minnow clappers, are not really made for moving water in any way. But I've got some heavier ones that I've been working on that I'll be releasing soon. That'll be used for, well, they'll weigh like 1/4 ounce, 1/2 ounce, stuff like that. So you can actually get them down, even if there's a little breeze, and do some drifting around. Just gonna read a few comments here. Travis T, good morning. How are you doing today? Not everybody's up at this hour on a Saturday, but I noticed a lot of guys got in their boats and they're out here. I was pretty happy to see that there are quite a few guys on boats already. I'm like, all right, opening day, let's get out there, everybody. So yeah, I've had some luck out here in the spring, around this time of year, in about 10 to 15 feet of water, usually at sunset though. So I'm sort of, like I said, in about 15 here. So I might move a little shallower to get to drift a little bit out, but we'll see. Like I said, I had a little nibble there. Just going to adjust this camera a touch. So Adam Craig, or Blair, good morning to you, buddy. Adam Craig, you're hoping to get out for a bit tomorrow. Wedding to go to this afternoon up north. Yeah. I might get out later in the afternoon, depending on how the wind is. We'll see. My son is quite hyped. I've been spending the last week down on Rice Lake there, where I go for my annual carp fishing adventure, and I love that. So I might release a few short videos. There were some really solid moments there where I was fishing with my son, and we had like a lot of fish. A lot of fish coming in. At the same time, the thing is with carp fishing is they changed the rules in 2020, so you're allowed to use 3 rods. at once, unlike all other fishing where you got to be one rod, or ice fishing where it's got to be two. But they changed those rules on carp fishing because there's an amazing carp fishery in Ontario, and there's a lot of tournaments because in Europe and stuff like that, carp fishing's huge, and there's a lot of tournaments that were sort of unable to come to Ontario because they had a one rod rule. So they made special exceptions for carp fishing, and almost all carp fishing is catch and release anyway. So that's the way they rolled it. So they changed it in 2020, I believe, and so you can really throw out some. Oh, here we go. All right, first fish of the morning. Perch on the minnow clapper. That is pretty solid size. Water on my hand there. My son, we were fishing on Rice Lake, was really big on trying to eat everything he caught. So he caught a bunch of rock bass, and he's like, all right, we're eating them, but the rock bass are like this. And I'm sure rock bass are edible, but I'm gonna actually throw on a worm. Got some worms here that are a little aged. So it looks a little soggy. You alive? I don't think that one's good anymore. All right, gonna put on I do like worms. You can't go too wrong with a worm, I can tell you that. But I do prefer leeches in the summertime. All right, so I'm gonna try firing down a worm. Maybe there's a school of jumbos down there. Never shying away from a school of jumbos, that's for sure. I was hoping for some walleye, but we'll see. All right. So yeah, I realized if I moved my anchor around, I wouldn't have this crazy light situation going on in this camera where it's going on and off, but it's because of the way I'm anchored and the way the wind's blowing. So apologies for imperfect filming here, but just trying to stay in one spot, not blow to the middle of the lake. So I'd say pretty much everybody out here is fishing in similar depths as me, pretty much out as far as them. Sometimes I like to use my anchor and sort of pull myself in a little bit and actually use it to move myself around without losing control, I guess, of things. So I got, I don't know, a 50-foot anchor length, and I'm in 15 feet of water, so I sort of just like pull myself 4 feet at a time. It's almost like a real slow troll. Jeff Vanderkoy. Yeah, it's are you out there today there, Jeff? Are you getting out? Nipissing Islander, good morning. It is a beautiful morning. It feels really good to be out here, I can tell you that. Just gonna adjust my camera a little bit here so it's not looking right up my nose. Sometimes that's a little strange, but yeah, great morning to be out here. You know, obviously we got some real sunshine vibes, light wind, smells great. I did drive past the treatment plant here, and I can tell you it was one of those days. North wind blows the stank right onto the lake, and I'm far enough away that I'm not getting totally nuked by it right now. Jeff, you're asking there where I'm at. I'm just at Amelia Park here. It tends to be the closest place I can go that is easy for me to throw in the canoe if it comes down to it. So my plan is in the future, on Thursday mornings, to try to get out, either fish from the government dock, which, you know, some people, you know, would be like, why don't you just go in your boat or canoe or whatever. Sometimes a little bit of dock fishing really hits the spot. And I know it's pretty busy in the evenings, but I'm wondering how it would be at the ass crack of dawn. So I'm thinking about filming a couple of videos where I get up in the morning Thursday mornings and just get out there and try to get back to my house to get my kid to school. Of course, my wife's going to be home looking after him. Between the hours of, I don't know, it's 5:40 that I think the sunrise is now. So I would be out, try to get out there around 5-ish, fish till 7-ish. And then that's usually when my son wakes up, shoot back up to the house, get the guy some breakfast, get him to school. That's my idea for, continuing fishing, and that would be live streamed as well. I do some live streaming doing that. So we'll see if I got the wherewithal to pull that one off. I've also been invited out by Al at Lake Nipissing outfitters there. So I'll get out with him a couple times this season, I hope. We'll see how it rolls. Yeah, the lake, the water right now that my fish finder is measuring the temperature is 59.48. So it's not crazy warm, it's not crazy cold. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 boats out here right now. I bet you the sunset bite will be quite a bit busier, but it's always cool to see people who are willing to, get up, crack it on. So I'm just gonna use my anchor here to pull me back a little bit and see if that results in me getting some stuff here. Don't see. Sometimes when I'm out here, you see people really, nets going up and people catching fish left and right. Right now, I don't see anybody getting too much action yet. So I'm just pulling myself back until I'm over my anchor, and then I'll just let myself drift again out to the deeper water. I don't know, I really like canoe fishing because it's so quiet. I do have a boat too, is the funny part. It's a aluminum Lund. I usually use it on trips when I go up north a bit. I don't often take it out on Nipissing, to be honest with you. All right, so I'm right over my anchor now. About 15 feet of water. Gonna let myself drift back out. You see some more jumbo perch. Sorry. I realize you guys are getting blasted by the sun in these shots. I don't know if that's important or not. Or it's just capturing the vibe that's important. Nipissing Islander says water temperature was 65 yesterday. I think the fish may be out on the reefs already. I wonder, eh? I'm trying to think of what the opener temperature has been in the past. Probably should have been keeping track of that. Got a real big chunk of worm here. All right. Looks like my suction cup came off on my... So... Yeah, I know I was watching... No, had a nibble there. I was watching the Lake Nipissing Stakeholders Association do their breeding program this year, which is always, like, I wasn't there watching, I was just watching what they posted on Facebook. And it always seems to happen pretty fast. I'm always curious about how it's going, and then it all seems like it's all over. But it seems like they got the job done pretty quickly this year. Just going through some comments here. So Nipissing Islander says, walleye spawned 6 weeks ago. Jeff Vanderkoy says there's a guy that fishes out out off the turd plant every morning. Yeah, that makes sense. I definitely saw some guys come out of the marina, and then I know there's like there's the little creek that comes in here. People often launch out of there in the summer or in the spring when the water is higher. They can get away with that. I think, as I recall, in August and July, that the water gets a little too high or low. Pardon me, low. The water gets too low to launch there. But I know this whole lake is like pretty flooded up right now. I was at Sunset Park yesterday, and there was definitely sandbags and stuff like that. There was barely any beach to be at. There were tons and tons of minnows, tons of them. Yeah. So Nipissing Islander says, Coke, I'm Bernie, aka Nipissing Islander. I was like, I bet you that's Bernie. He fits the description. Nipissing Islander. Yeah, you must be just up drinking your coffee this morning, eh, Bernie? Checking out the lake. You gonna get out on the lake at some point today, or get out for the evening bite maybe? So I think I might try to get myself a little bit shallower and then let myself drift out again, because it seems like 14 feet isn't cutting it. I remember sometimes I had to really try a few different depths, and then I'd finally get to where the fish were. Sometimes as well, I like to troll these Berkeley flicker shads. You know, I might do that for fun. Jigging's cool and all, but I feel like the wind's kind of calmed down a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull my anchor a bit and then just try to sort of get up to about 12 feet, but I'll troll my flicker shad and see what's going on. I might turn the camera around so it's facing forward so you guys can get a look at the lake instead of looking at me, you know, work through my paddle strokes, which would probably be all kinds of like, you know, on and off with the sun. All right, so I got this 4-piece Berkeley ugly stick, Billy Bob's yesterday. I've been looking for just a good pack rod to take on some backwoods adventures. I've been trying to get out to some backwoods places more often, particularly looking for specks. And I found some specks in an interesting spot, which of course I can't tell you because it's a little close. It's closer than you might think. And then I'm trying to find like a good pack rod for just like riding my mountain bike into back lakes and stuff like that. So I've got one of these telescopic guys, and it's just a little noodly, I guess you'd say. It's a little noodly. Anyway, so I'm gonna pull my anchor up here and then do a little bit of a troll. I'll show you the lure, like, I'll keep my jig down for a second and then get going. But I have this like favorite Berkeley flicker shad lure. It's a HD perch. They actually like print the color of a perch on the side. Sometimes when I find when the jig isn't happening, that trolling that guy works really well. But first I'm gonna pop the anchor up. So I'm gonna turn the camera around so you can admire my net. Yeah, there you go. That's what the lake looks like. All right, so I'm just pulling that anchor up. Yeah, my son went through a period here where he's like, I don't like fishing anymore, Dad. And it was really I guess hard to hear for me. And then when we went to Rice Lake, I had him sitting on the side of the dock catching sunfish and rock bass, and we caught a few mudcats and stuff like that. And then he was just like, Dad, I like fishing again. And then one day while we were there, he just like grabs his little rod, which is called a dock runner. It's just this little short ice fishing style rod. And he was just like, that's it, I'm starving. I'm going out and catching my lunch right now. Of course, I was pretty hyped about that. I'm like, okay, boy, you go catch your lunch, right? You know, he's gonna be 5 this fall. It's pretty awesome to watch this guy develop as a character. All right, so I'm in 14 feet of water. I'm gonna try this ugly stick. Makes a solid rod, to say the least. It's 4-piecer, looks pretty good. So this should give us a chance to get the sun out of your face. Okay, I'm gonna turn the camera around so you guys can see forward. Adjust my shirt so that my mic isn't getting popped around too much. My goal here is to not knock my phone into the lake with my with my paddle if I can. Okay, here we go. So I'm moving a little bit away from the Amelia Park hot spot. I call it a hot spot. It seems like everybody really fishes hard on that output. So I'm in 15 feet of water right now. I'm gonna dabble in a little bit of, maybe get all the way up to 10, and we'll see how that plays out. Oh. Put that guy down. There we go. So yeah, this is some real point of view action going on here. This is what it would look like if you were on a canoe on Lake Nipissing at this very moment. All right, let's go a little shallower. There's a few other guys, it looks like, out towards Sunset Park. But not that many out here. Like I said, I feel like there's going to be a lot of action come sunset. I don't mean necessarily fish action, maybe fish action, but lots of anglers out. When I was at Billy Bob's Baits yesterday, people were hyped. You know, Jeff, you said you need to write a spring opening tune. I thought about that. I was like, it wouldn't take me that much to alter opening day on Calendar Bay. To be the summer version. I actually I always knew existed, but the first fishing related tune I had written is when I first started the For Real Fishing channel in 2009. And it was, it's just called For Eel Fishing. It's a pretty happening beat. If you go to my Bandcamp page, you can listen to it. Apparently a lot of people have been listening to it, which I find kind of funny. But yeah, that was the first one. Sort of short little ditty about, it was supposed to be my theme song, right? Now, so as I go this way, I'm hitting more 16 feet of water. I was hoping I was getting in shallower, but I guess there's dynamics to the bottom going on here. Let's see. I'm actually going to put the mic on my hat. Yeah, I'm not sure if you're getting a lot of rubbing sounds or anything. from the mic, but you shouldn't now because it's on my hat. So far, running that crankbait. No hits yet. Maybe half K out. Amelia Beach. I'm gonna take a hard turn in here towards the shore because we're just not getting to the shallow water I was hoping for. I know, like in the spring last year, there was some weeds around, and in the weeds there, it was even like 8 feet of water, and there were weeds. And there was a guy out here, another dude on a canoe that was out. Said he was a soldier or whatever, so he borrowed one of the base's canoes and came out, and he was hitting them in 8 feet of water over a little weed patch. That day was the day when they were really on the bite. All right, so we're still in 16 feet of water. I'm just gonna lower the camera to give it a, I don't know if you guys want to see my fish finder. I don't think you can. I'm just gonna keep it like that for the moment. I'm gonna take a hard turn into the shore, let us drift back out, throw down some jigs, and see if we can get some more action. So we're heading towards 7 a.m. in the morning. Yeah, so as far as doing live streaming Thursday mornings right at the crack of dawn, that's what I was thinking. It's just the thing that works with my schedule, so that's why I would do it then. And then the goal with that is just catch the evening bite or morning bite. I know that a lot of times on some of the northern lakes that I go up to, the morning bite can be as good as the afternoon sunset bite if you get the wherewithal to get out there in the morning. And I feel like since I've had a kid, I have a lot less problems getting up early. And, you know, I'm sure there's lots of people going to work or getting up for the morning coffee, stuff like that. Might be able to catch the live stream. It's a good way to start your day. All right, so we're finally getting down to 14 feet of water. I guess at the beach there must be just like a huge shallow patch that goes out, I guess, as is the nature of beaches, right? So that's where, that's why I was out so far to get to 15 feet, because even right here where I feel like I'm halfway into shore as far as how far I was out, and I'm still only in 12 feet, but I'm gonna get all the way to 10 and then drift out with a lively leech on maybe just a jig head, simple jig head. Let's see if anybody wants to grab that. I'd also love to get into a sheep's head. Those always make for a wild time. So yeah, we're still holding at 59 degrees. Getting up to 11 feet here. Nothing's hitting my crankbait. As I hit 10, I'll just park it. I'll have to have my anchor ready to go. Like I said, there's a bit of a northerly breeze going here, probably even a northeaster that will put me out in the middle of the lake pretty fast. I barely even had to paddle to get out here. All right, so we're in 9.8 feet of water. Just gonna reel up my rod here. See, I was thinking about sending some messages around to different companies, just asking them if they have any kind of pack rods that they want me to test and stuff like that. Sometimes I forget that if I pull the Kokemachine card, I can often get some free stuff. But important thing to note is, like, a lot of the big fishing companies don't want to have much, you know, don't really give me much of the time of day. They got their real players out there who they prefer. But a lot of small up and coming companies can often do send me stuff if I ask them. All right, so here's what I'm gonna throw on here. Let's see, I got this little sprinkle jig. I'm sorry, sunshine. It's a beautiful thing, but not when it's washing out everything on your camera. So this is a 1/4 ounce jig. It looks like, I don't know, a disco ball. I like the gold ones and the silver ones. So I'm gonna fire one of those on with a leech. Drift back out. So we're already at 10.5 feet. Move my mic back down to my shirt. Okay. All right. All right. Got the leech silhouetted in the sunshine. Very fresh leeches. This one's got a lot of spirit to them. I'm gonna try to turn the boat so I'm not. Okay. There we go. You can watch the sun go through my beard instead of through the back of my head. There's a loon in front of me here. Okay. So it is got enough of a drift going on here that I might even need a heavier jig head. We'll see. I might fire on a buckshot rattle spoon or something like that. Just let this drift behind me here. I was fishing with these guys in Ottawa one time, and they referred to any kind of drifting technique as a heritage drift, which of course I immediately took up calling everything that, because it's true. You get a drift going on, no trolling motors, just like in the old times. Let's see what I got for heavier jigs. Funny thing is, this is actually my ice fishing jig box I'm going through here. That's where I keep all my heavy duty stuff. Let's see what I got here. Got one of my heavier minnow clappers here I might try out. Like I said, my 1/4 ounce jig head is not cutting it. Got a big, heavy brass weight on it. So, see how this one goes. I kind of like to try to keep it vertical, but see, I'm already in 14 feet. Doesn't take long. Got a few more boats showing up out here. What? My leech is gone already. So probably might throw down my anchor right now, just before I get going too far here. Alright, so I'm going to fire on another leech. Give you a little view of the lake here while I'm grabbing my leech out. Some people really don't like handling leeches. I'm not a huge fan per se, but I'm not too scared of them either. The important thing to remember is that the big sucker end is not the end that they try to get you with. It's the small pointy end is, well, and a leech bite isn't particularly painful from what I understand. All right, so here we are again, lots of sunshine. Got my heavy minnow clapper on there, going relatively straight down. Get my oar paddle out of the way. So far, one jumbo perch. Just gonna turn the thing around here, go through some comments. Dan Chimera, wish you were fishing. Yeah. Greg Garland, he said you used a small minnow clapper tip with the worm the other day, drifting on Simcoe. That's awesome. That's good to hear. Glad to hear that people are out there still using them. I actually made a unique worm harness that I'm going to be putting up on my website shortly. Made some pretty hilarious graphics for it too. So the idea is, like, I was sort of inspired by a lot of these worm harnesses that feature plastic blades, so it doesn't take much speed to get them to spin. So I was sort of inspired by, there's like this Montana blade out there, and there's a Smile blade that's out there, which are like these Mylar blades that they are able to move a lot with not much motion. Like, you probably drag it and have it move. So I made my own one. I think I call it the Worm Zapper or the Zeus Zapper. I've been away for a week, so I think there were a couple names I was working on, and then when you see the graphics, I think you'll get a kick out of it. But I need to finish up some of that stuff, and then those will be ready to purchase. Try to get some in at Billy Bob's. And then I also do have the new book that I'll be done soon, called Fishing from the Dock. It's just tips and tricks for young anglers. The idea I had with that book was, I don't know, when I was a kid, I'd read every fishing thing I possibly could. And I remember my buddy's dad gave me this old school fishing guide that, you know, must have been from the 60s or something like that. It's just a book. Just talked about tips and tricks. And man, I love that book. It was a full, like, novel-sized book. Not quite novel-sized, but... So I decided to make, not necessarily something similar, but something that would be very visually appealing to young anglers, but at the same time give them, like, some tips and tricks to read up on, get themselves hyped for fishing. It's been a pleasure making it. So I've got, you know, a couple different descriptions of different fish that you're likely to catch from the dock, and then as well, like, some basic bobber rigs, bottom rigs. You know, I kind of really enjoy night fishing from the dock for catfish, and during our trip to Rice Lake, my son and I tried at night a couple times. You know, there's something magic about having, like, glow bobbers out and headlamps on. But then I was catching the most amount of mudcats at, like, high noon. They were actually going after my carp bait quite a bit. which is a bit of a problem because the gear you use for carp fishing is like heavy duty. You're talking fish that are 12 to 20, 12 to 30 pounds. And so you got 20-pound line and everything's heavy. So when you get a catfish on, it's like, you're like, what's going on out there? And then you reel it in and you're like, oh yeah, little bullhead coming in. So yeah, the book's got a bunch of tips on stuff like that, and it's very colorful. So I look forward to getting that book out there. We'll see how it goes. So Bernie says, most of the time I use a jig with a trailing hook with a worm threaded on both and fish the reefs. So Bernie says, minnows work good too, but are harder to keep. Worms I can grab out of the fridge and hit the water. Yeah, I don't find I use minnows much in the summer at all. Like I said, my preference is definitely leeches because they're a water creature, so they have lots of action to them. In addition to that, fish seem to really like them. So I like them, and they're easy to keep as long as you keep them cool, you know. But everything seems to like worms anyway. One thing I figured out, not that I'm like any kind of champion spec fisherman at all, I'm sort of just getting slightly better at it. One thing I figured out is they'll go after your spinners, but if you got a worm on there, then it often seals the deal a little bit better. Because I found that they'll chase lots of things, but they love the worms. Jacob Shannon, happy opening day to you. Michael Gates, enjoy, Coke. It's supposed to be a beautiful. You. There we go. This has got to be another perch. So far, got some perch coming in here. So he made sure he ate my worm. Or my leech, pardon me. He's not a huge perch. Maybe, I don't know, 7 inches. He definitely crapped on my hand for me. All right, let's get another leech on there. I was gonna try to do some leech trapping this year. So actually there's a spot I know where a culvert comes out of this little swamp, and there's enough leeches in there to give you the willies, that's for sure. And then I've learned how people fish or trap leeches. They just get like a pie plate, flatten it in half, put some meat in the middle, or beef kidney or something like that. So might try that one out. Then again, like I said, this one spot I feel like I could just show up with a minnow net or even just a stick. I was at this one back lake where I saw these pollywogs. They were big. I would almost say that there were a couple of quarter pounders out there. I know a lot of people don't measure pollywogs in pounds, but there were some big ones. And there's certain leeches they have like a pinky orange belly. And I learned that those are the medical leeches because they're the bloodsuckers. So I actually watched one latch onto one of these massive pollywogs, and I was just like, I don't think that pollywog's got enough juice in it to, suffer a leech attack like that. So I guess that's what happens. But there are tons of these medical leeches, as they say. But it's interesting because the leeches you buy at like Billy Bob's or like Black or any of the bait shops, they're the black ones, the ribbon leeches, I think they call them. So many different kinds of leeches, and it's kind of hard to find information on them. I'm sure everybody's seen those massive horse leeches that are just unreal in size. They're like, oh, these leeches are 8 inches long. Apparently, from what I've heard, they only eat vegetation. Just gonna move myself a little bit here. All right. Like I said, I'm just like to sort of do what I call sort of a slow troll by pulling my anchor up a bit. Got a long anchor line. I'm on my canoe here, that's why. For anybody who's new to the party, I've sort of developed a few practices that I like to use when out canoe fishing. One of them is having a real long anchor line and just slowly, sometimes I only move myself like a few feet at a time, but I'm just going to try to pull myself all the way up to the anchor and then just let the wind pull me out again. The anchor is set at 14 feet. Let's get right on top of it there. So I can tell you that a lot of the guys that were over top of the pipe over there, there's not as many guys there now. I guess there's 3. I was thinking maybe, I'm always trying to see if people are catching, and a lot of times if boats are moving around constantly, then you know they're probably not catching anything there. So Michael Gates says minnows are hard to get and a pain to keep alive in the summer. Yeah, I agree. They're such pain, I don't even try. Sorry for coughing. Yeah, Bernie says I can't seem to be able to touch leeches. I do minimal touching, really. I sort of get them out of the container, sort of wing them on the bottom of the boat, and then just sort of aim the hook for the big sucker and go from there. I used to like grab them with pliers and stuff like that, and then other times I would just grab them with my hands, and they're squirmy. And yeah, they do kind of give you the willies. So Michael Gates says, I love using plastic minnows in the summertime. What's your favorite plastic minnow to throw out there, Michael? I know my brother likes throwing those Gulp Alives. I had a bad experience with the Gulp Alive minnow. Basically what happened was I accidentally, like those containers, they come in, leak a lot, and I had one dump inside my tackle box. And then I had to put my tackle box outside of the cabin I was staying at, and then a bear tried to get into it. So that was, after that, I'm just like, man, because once that stuff, once that Gulp Alive juice gets all over the place, bit of a mess. Yeah, I really do like eating perch there, Bernie. I probably should have if I had kept the 2 perch I caught, maybe I'd be just a bit ready to fry some up. WH, good morning, Coke. Threw my back out. It's nice to watch you enjoying the opener. Hopefully I'll get the back to loosen up for an evening fish. Yeah, towards the end of the ice fishing season there, I threw my back out real good. And I didn't even do anything. I just woke up one day. I was just like, ah. It was pretty rough. But then, I've been going to this one chiropractor. I know a lot of people are for and against chiropractors, but my back seems to be doing a little better. But right now, I'm currently recovering from a vasectomy, which, you know, I'm really bad at taking it easy. And at one point during carp fishing there, I was alone fishing for carp, and I had this big mama carp on, and I was trying to get it close to my net, and every time it got close, it went for another run. And so at one point I had to hold the net, like squeeze it between my legs and keep it from falling in the lake, while I handled the rod and reel with my other hands, or with my hands. And I experienced some kind of torsion. It was worth it though. The fish was a good one. I think it was the biggest one of my trip. But yeah, after you have that procedure, you gotta take it easy. Can't be holding no nets with your legs. Come on, fish, let's go. Jacob Shannon, I do have a fish finder right now. I got the Striker 4, and the temperature of the water is 59.24. So, not quite swimming weather. WH, I've been going to a dude by the name of Dr. Valiant. He's pretty good. There's a few other doctors around that are offering like specials for like intros and stuff like that. I don't know, when I pick a chiropractor, I'm usually looking for like a big dude who can really crunch some bones. I had one chiropractor who was really good, but he was just like this little guy, and just say I didn't get quite snapped up like I was hoping to. But Dr. Valiant does a pretty good job. But of course, every time I go to a chiropractor, I think to myself, like, I should have become a chiropractor, because, you know, they're like, oh, come on in for 5 minutes, and that's $45, please. Okay. Ian Patterson, welcome to the party. You made it to Windsor for Detroit River Walleye. Fantastic time. Yeah, you know, I've heard lots of good things about that area. I've heard it's like amazing down there. Even on Erie, like Lake Erie, I've heard so many good things about the walleye population down there. So I don't know if I should move around some more or even go out a little further. I'm not really too sure. Like, I'm not seeing a lot of nets. When I say see a lot of nets, I'm always watching other people's boats to see if I see anybody grab the net, because then you know fish are getting landed. I remember one night I was out here and it was just like, all you saw was people grabbing their nets left and right, and the bite was on and everybody was experiencing it. It was this real magic moment. But it can't happen like that every day. Just gonna give you guys a little view of the scene. All right, so we got a guy. You can see his boat. There's a guy out there. He's way out there. It's funny on the camera. It looks like a million miles away. So if you can barely see that guy, I won't even show you the other guys. Yeah, I think somebody said it was going to be 24 degrees today. It's going to be toasty. It's probably right about now. My kid's probably waking up. I made this lure that's sort of like a, I guess you'd call it like a weight forward spinner. My son, every once in a while, he's like his dad, he's a pretty creative guy. And when he sees me making things, he just immediately wants to make things. So he sees me with my lure making gear and he's just like, all right, Dad, let's make some lures. So he and I put together this one lure that I can't even really show you too well because, well, here's the silhouette of it. It's got a massive sinker in the front and then a spinner blade in the back. So it's sort of like a weight forward spinner, not quite like an Erie Deary, obviously, because it's jointed in the middle. And my son and I sort of put this one together. My idea with it was just like a real long bomber for casting. So I might cast around a little bit with this guy and then shuffle around, maybe troll a touch back to the beach over there, and guess I'm gonna have to wrap it up at some point. Of course, I feel like I've got, you know, I'm sure my wife would understand if I came in a little bit later since it's opening day. I think I might, before I go, I'll try my disco ball jig here. I use a Canadian Tire. It's like very disco vibe. All right, so I'm gonna take the leech off that, put them on here. The other thing I like about leeches, a lot of times you can have them on your hook and then they're so resilient that you can take them off your hook, put them back in your leech container, and use them a couple days later. All right. So I'm going to throw down the disco ball with a leech on it, and then pull my anchor, or pull myself up to the anchor one more time, and then I'm gonna troll back over to the beach towards the little river over here, and then I think I will have to wrap it up. Maybe at 8 o'clock I'll wrap it up here. If the fish were biting though, I'd just keep hanging out. But so far a couple perch. Not bad, but I was hoping for some sort of amazing walleye bite this morning. Fisherman's dream, right? Okay. So we are now at the anchor. So we're going to drift out a few feet. I always go to the Kawartha Dairy whenever I'm traveling in those areas there, and my favorite is the blue bubblegum ice cream. Very tasty. I heard for a while they were talking about getting rid of that because they were worried about it choking kids because it's got gum in it. Variety of different kinds of bubble gum, but it's definitely my favorite ice cream ever. Yeah, so here's what I'll do. I'm gonna saw my anchor line out there. Just figured I was gonna catch it with my jig. So I'm gonna try out my weight forward spinner there once I get to the end of the anchor line, and then I'm gonna troll back to the beach a little bit. Boy, it's an interesting vibe being on a lake that closes to like all species for a long period of time, because I don't think that's very common. I feel like on Simcoe, I feel like everybody's been, just going ahead and still fishing for perch and all that different stuff. And I mean, we've got lots of other back lakes and stuff like that to get to, but still, it's like a two month closed lake is interesting. Yeah, whenever I'm fishing from a canoe, I like to use an ice rod for jigging, just because I can get the line really close to my transducer. And plus, in a canoe, you know, it's a pretty tight space, so it's pretty easy to use an ice rod in this kind of space. Bernie says opening day can sometimes be frustrating, as it can take a while to find where they are hanging out. Yeah, I remember it wasn't even opening day, but like all of May and into June along the rocks when I used to live out in Yellick there. It was just like sunset. You get out your classic jerk baits, like Rapella style minnows and stuff like that, and it would just be fish after fish in 5 to 8 feet of water. Like I had some amazing days. Shallow. But I don't know. It's like I don't recall what the water temperature was at that time. And then last summer in this area, I did pretty good for a couple of days. And then yeah, once July hits, you sort of have this transition where you have like, I don't know, the drums start coming out, and I feel like that, maybe that's not a rule that holds true so much, but I found last year when the drums started coming out, the walleye started decreasing, and then eventually it just sort of switches to bass. All right, so I'm gonna try casting this lure out, and then I'm gonna move, and then it might be time to go drink some coffee. I started my day with an energy drink. Like, I don't have time to make coffee. Just chug an energy drink. Which isn't so bad, just all of a sudden you're wide awake. I wasn't really into energy drinks much in life until this year for some reason. All right, so I've got weight forward spinner, homebrew style. I'm gonna put on a little chunk of worm on the back. So that's what it looks like. Basically, the idea is the massive weight's gonna pull that spinner right down. So I'm gonna turn the camera so you can watch me cast around. So I haven't landed a fish yet on this. Oh man, cast like a A-bomb. Haven't caught any fish yet on this ugly stick 4-piece. Like this is gonna be my pack rod for getting to tight places. I know Masuda sent me a 7-foot 1-piece rod, and I have yet to try it out. I think they sent it to me last year. Just, I don't have a lot of 7-foot space to carry a full-length rod. So I'm just sort of trying to troll this thing along, or not troll it, but pull it along the bottom. I don't often fish too much with forward-facing or forward-weighted sinker, or you know what I mean, forward-weighted spinners. I know some people really swear by the Erie Dearies and stuff like that, and this obviously doesn't look the same, but would play the same card, I think. Yeah, it's still pretty calm out here. A little bit of a breeze. I feel like the breeze has calmed down from how it was. Oh, a spinner swims pretty good. I was thinking this one would be good for long bombing from a dock. So we got another boat showing up here. I think I even see a kayaker out here. Okay, don't get me wrong. Seeing lots of boats is fun, but I do enjoy seeing other paddlers out. I think there's a whole other experience to paddle, paddle fishing, whether it be kayak or canoe. I haven't actually tried kayak fishing. Oh man. There's a bunch of loons right in front. I don't know if you can see them at all. I don't know if I can zoom in at all. Anyway, they were out there. All right. This weight forward spinner is kind of cool because it like, as it dives with the weight, it sinks down or it spins. There we go. I got something. I was like, oh man, here's the fish. Probably a rock or something. So the reel on this combo seems kind of plasticky. The rod seems like a classic ugly stick. I just feel ugly sticks are just one of those rods that, this one's fairly light, I'd say, and the tip is that fiberglass, but it's the indestructibility of these rods that you got to appreciate. I know I use one for carp fishing and it's all fiberglass, and I wouldn't want to be casting all day with it, that's for sure. But I can tell you that as far as handling carp, it's more than able to. All right, so I'm gonna troll my flicker shot again back to the beach there. I'm gonna put my camera down because the way I have it set up right now, I need to figure out a better way. I don't think I've done too much live streaming from the canoe, but it just feels like canoe's so wobbly that it's going to give me the willies as far as making me feel like my phone's going to fall in the lake. Of course, I got one of those Rogers plans where if you turn in your phone at the end of your contract, you save some amount of money. So I don't want to have to pay that money. So that means I can't drop it in the lake. Anyway, I'm gonna pull up the anchor. I'm gonna try to troll around 10 feet or so. We still have that like sideways sun, so I don't think the fish are gonna be running out of the shallows just yet. I think in a lot of the northern lakes that I've been to, we were looking at, the fish would be biting from sunrise till about like 9 in the morning. I don't think I'm going to be out here till 9 in the morning. But yeah, I had some really good morning bites on some northern lakes. All right. Cast this guy out here. So yeah, this is my, let's see if we can get a good shot of this. Berkeley flicker shad. I'm sure it's real blurry. HD perch. I always just feel like you just can't go wrong with a perch colored lure. Okay, so I'm gonna turn the camera around. Just gonna look at some of the comments here. Somebody says, good luck fishing, Coke. It's time for me to go myself. I'll let you know how I do. Greg, thanks for the video. I'm gonna take the grandson out, dunk some worms on Simcoe. Awesome. And Stuart, the fish whisperer. How you doing, Stuart? Okay, here we go. So I'll probably be releasing some carp clips soon because there are some real hilarious moments. I remember I had a fish that I was trying to show to my GoPro camera. Then one of my other rods went off, and then I handed it to my son, and I said, hold on to this for dear life. When you're talking a 20-pound fish and you're handing it to a 35-pound kid, it's a challenge. But yeah, I hope I got lots of good clips of carp fishing there. Alright, so I'm going to try to get into the shallows, about 10 feet, and troll along here a little bit. Might even go straight into shore. It's about 10 feet. Okay, I'm going to put my mic on my hat again so it's not rubbing. I really enjoy the sound of a canoe being paddled. Yeah, it's funny, this Ugly Stick GX2 4-piece, it seems like it's got a lot of backbone and then like a sort of soft tip. Like the tip seems like it bends a lot, and then like once it gets down about 18 inches, like the rest of the rod is like very, very stiff. So I'm kind of curious about what it's going to look like if I ever get a sizable fish on it. Alright, so we're hitting about 12 feet of water. Water temperature's holding tight at 59. So when's this cicada horde supposed to show up? Because I heard there's gonna be a lot of cicadas this year. All right, so I've hit 11 feet, so I'm gonna cruise along at this level for a minute. See if anybody's hungry for HD perch. I'd like to catch at least one walleye this morning, but a couple perch was fine. Looks like my lure's bouncing the bottom. You guys can watch my rod for me. So I just have it on a mount on the side of the boat. You can see it's the way it's moving, it's bouncing off the sand. So it's getting down there. You know it's in the right place. But I've really enjoyed these flicker shad lures as far as crankbaits are concerned. They tend to move well, not as expensive as shad wraps. So I'm about 12.6 feet of water here. Feet. I think these lures dive about 15, depending on how much line. Sometimes I run them on a short line. Oh, it's really starting to sun up out here. Oops. Feet. far, no strikes. Probably just go as far as the little river here and then wrap it up for the morning. Go drink a very tall cup of coffee. So we've got about 4 boats out front of the water output of the treatment plant. "13 feet here. All right, oop, there we go. No, it's got to be another perch. 13.8 feet water. Seems like the jumbo perch are in the area. Yeah, it feels small. Look at that perch. Oh. So there you go. Perch again. 3 perch this morning. Perch going after perch, eh? Let's do a little cast from here. You know, I think I'm going to paddle straight out towards the islands for a couple of minutes. I'm obviously not going all the way out there, but just going to see if there's anything slightly deeper. So we're in 15 feet of water right here. Okay. Maybe I'll paddle out to, I'm not sure how deep it gets out here or how fast. Probably, so we're at 16 now. Wouldn't surprise me if it goes up to, or down to 19. It's 16.5. Okay, hitting 17 feet. When I'm getting out this deep, I like to put out like a lot of line. Still got that Berkeley flicker shad back there. Okay. Getting up to 18 feet of water here. So 3 perch, no walleye. Like I said, I'd like to get at least one. "19 feet. See a bit of weeds down low. All right, so I'm gonna start turning around. Looks like I hit about 19.5 feet. I'm probably about a kilometer out from the beach. And I'm just gonna turn around, start heading back to the beach there. We'll wrap it up. Russell M says just got to North Bay for a week. Heading out for some evening fishing off of Sunset Point tonight. Good luck with that. Still have a bit of a breeze here. Almost knocked my mic into the lake. Well, I know what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I'm gonna throw on one of my worm harnesses that I made on my way back to shore. Okay, I meant to test this thing out. Right. So I need. All right. My son bent up my bottom bouncer really good. I like this bottom bouncer because you can clip it onto your line. It's 1.5 ounces. And clip it right onto the line here. Okay. There we go. I'm not always a big fan of bottom bouncering, but I forgot. I modified this one because I was trying to film it underwater. So it's got kind of a short lead. This is one of my homebrew bottom bouncers. It's got a plastic blade that is iridescent that spins at very, very low speeds. So, like I said, it's got a short lead. Normally I'd put a 4-foot lead on it, but let's put a worm on it. And like I said, we got perch biting this morning, so I don't imagine necessarily going to get any walleye yet, but see this worm harness in action. My brother's a real worm harness guy. I kind of fell out of it and got into crankbaits. Then this year I decided to make a worm harness for my lure company. And there you go. It's got the magic blade there. I might just pinch off the end of this crawler because he's pretty long. All right. Let's see how this flies. Lots of action. All right, so I'm actually gonna do this. I'm gonna go in towards shore and then maybe drift out with that because it spins at a very, very low speed. I bet you even drifting from 15 to 19 or maybe from 12 to 19 might get it going, get it spinning there. Alright, so Russell let me say you troll 12 feet of water heading west from Sunset Point with Rapella Shadow Wrap. Purple-descent deep dive. That sounds really good. I think I caught my biggest splake on a purple-descent. I think it was a Rapella. So, all right. Boy, it's getting sunny out here. Real sunny. I can still see my truck. I mean, at the speed I'm going, the bottom bouncer I'm using is pretty well almost holding vertical. Like I said, I like that kind of bottom bouncer because you can just clip it onto your line without having to do like the whole big re-rigging. My brother's got like special rods lined up just for bottom bouncing. I kind of like being able to switch a lot as I go. So we're gonna get to 15 feet of water, and I'm gonna drift out with that bottom bouncer and that worm harness I've got there, and we'll see if it spins at a drifting pace. I think it will. It's a super light blade, so it spins very low speeds. Let's turn this camera around. You guys can look at where we're going. So we're definitely going longer than most of the live streams I used to do. Hour and 37. Thanks for everybody who's giving me a thumbs up here. It's been a while since I've been on the scene. I was planning on almost doing some live streaming while I was carp fishing in Rice Lake, but then not a lot of times the boy was out there with me, and like to keep my attention on hanging out with him, So we're just, for anybody who's new to the party here, we're just around Amelia Park. We're a little bit away from the treatment plant. Looks like the treatment plant scene is pretty busy today. There's still a pretty solid breeze coming off the north here. So we're in about 19.1, 19.2. A little more. See, what I like about using crankbaits when I'm in a canoe is that, they dive down all you want. There's not as much adjustment. Like, I feel like if you have a motor and you're using a bottom bouncer, then you can focus on adjusting your depth as necessary. Whereas the crankbait, I find, you can tell when it's hitting bottom and all you gotta do is reel up, touch. But I don't know, for some reason I feel bottom bouncers is a lot more adjustments you gotta do more frequently. I really got out here. It's still in 19 feet of water. So yes, this bottom bouncer action is going to be my last shot before I wrap it up for the morning. But what I really want to do is just drift with the wind out. Just go real slow. Like I said, it's one of my homebrew bottom bouncers that doesn't take much speed to get the blade spinning. The water temperature, Russell, is 59.25. Alright, so we're up to 18 feet. I got a strike. I'm gonna say perch, given the fact that that seems to be what's around this morning. All right. Bottom bounce around a bit more. All right, getting into 17 feet. Slowly, finally coming up to shallower water. Oops, that was me bumping it. All right, so we're in 16.7 feet. Okay, bottom bounces down a little bit more. So I'm trying to get to 12 and then drift out from there. And once I do that, we'll take it easy for a second. $14.8. So I believe it's Chippewa Creek that comes in over here. All right, so we're getting down to 13 feet. Getting up to 12 feet here. Huh. I had a leech on one of my hooks, just on my jigging hook there, and he got himself off. That takes skill. All right, we're at 12 feet. Turn the camera around. How's it going? Put my microphone somewhere it's not totally silly. All right. Whoops. All right. So now we're at 12 or 11 feet. I'm going to drift bottom bouncer in my homebrew. It's my worm harness there. So it spins at a very, very slow speed, so I think we can get away with drifting and using that worm harness. All right, so we're on the bottom. I'm just gonna go ahead and let's catch some fish, eh? All right, I was gonna turn the camera around so I'm not Mr. Silhouette. And so WH says we catch a lot of fish with bottom bouncers. Good summer technique when they are deeper. Bill D, good morning, buddy. Mr. Brick Boy, I caught a perch, or 3 perch. Seems like the perch are here, just not the wallies. All right, so we're drifting at a pretty good speed here. 0.75 miles an hour. Let's turn this towards the... So I got my rod out there. So about 12 feet, 12.8, so heading towards 13. We're gonna drift out to maybe 15. Unless that happens real fast, and then we might drift out a little further. So I do feel it dragging bottom. That's good. Nice day to be on the lake. It's getting a lot warmer. My son had me wading out at Sunset Point yesterday because kids and swimming, you know, they don't really care if it's cold. Okay, so just a little bit above bottom. So I'm just gonna chill, let the wind pull us out. I was gonna reel it up for a second just to see how it spins at the speed we're going. So it's definitely spinning. Very slow. Yeah, so soon I'll be putting this lure out through my minnow clapper website there. And I'll try to get it in Billy Bob's, like I said. It's just a worm harness that I dreamed up. So we're already at 13.9 feet. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4 boats between me and Sunset. Oh, 5 actually. And then 1, 2, 3, 4 outside the sewage treatment plant there. So 14.2 feet, 59 degrees. It's pretty consistent surface temperature here. Wonder how everyone else is doing out on the lake in different parts. I know Al from Lake Nipissing Outfitters was going out on the south shore there. I'm sure there's lots of people out in Calendar Bay. It's just a good old calm day on the lake. Now, if only the fish would play. My brother was going to a lake north of Sudbury there, some back lake where he had caught a few wallies last year. So I'm sure I'll hear all about how he did. So we're almost at 15 feet, so I'm probably just gonna let us drift out to 19. Why not, eh? And then I'm gonna wrap up the live stream here. It's been a while since I've let it run this long. Feet, 15.4. Yeah, I think sometimes with bottom bouncers and whatnot, I find them just a little clunky when you're fighting a fish, when you have one on. It's like you're fighting the weight and the fish. But they are highly effective. So we're getting up to 16 feet. Yeah, 16 feet now. All right, we'll drift out to 18 and then wrap it up. How's it going, David Bennett? Welcome to the party. You're here right for the end. 3 perch. 3 perch is what we caught so far. Got a boat going past here. Fancy boat. Waves from the fancy boat. So just about hitting 17 feet. Dave Bennett say any fish. Yeah, we had 3 perch, no walleyes. The biggest perch was maybe 9 inches. Smallest one maybe 7. Seems like they're out. They're out eating. And you say Russell Lamb. I wonder if the M&R will be out this weekend. Oh, I'm sure they will be. Long weekend opener. I'm sure they'll be out at the docks and stuff like that, at the launches. All right. Well, everybody, thanks for joining me on this live stream. I'm going to wrap it up because went a solid 2 hours here. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sure it was, if anything, relaxing. I definitely have enjoyed being out on the lake this morning, and I hope that again, like I said, I should be doing some live streams. I'm gonna try to do like Thursday mornings at like the crack of dawn. Maybe sometimes fishing from shore, sometimes fishing from the canoe, whatever the weather permits. And then, of course, I probably won't be live streaming in the rain anytime. So we'll see what we can do. But I'm gonna head back in. I'm gonna drink a big coffee. I was up at 5 this morning, and I'm ready to get into the coffees. So we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks for joining me. Watch for some carp videos coming out soon. And then, and hopefully some live stream walleye fishing and perch fishing and stuff like that coming out here. And of course, for anybody who's got a kid who likes fishing, I will be releasing another book very shortly. So we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks everybody who came out. Have a great day.